All right, let's welcome into Straight Fire a huge Phoenix Suns guy. He's got his finger on the pulse, and given the Bradley Beal situation, which this podcast may have called many months ago, and the Jimmy Butler situation, which we've largely avoided here, I thought we'd bring in Ben Garcia, co-host of the Locked On Suns podcast. I've known Ben for a while. I played hoops with him at the Super Bowl once or twice. Yeah, twice in
Twice.
Arizona and Vegas. And then now Ben is like an amazing tech guy with videos. And so I'm bringing on Ben to do stuff for this podcast that I post on my IG. He's a super talented guy. How are you, man?
I appreciate it. Checks in the mail for all the nice things that you had said. Listen, I never thought I'd be a tech genius. I told my wife the other day when I got all this new techie stuff in to start streaming in the morning, start my own show on YouTube. It is I told her, I was like, I never thought I'd be this guy, but now I'm all geeked out into it. I've got wires coming out the wazoo on the other end, but yeah, man, I'm excited to get into it. Appreciate you having me.
Yeah, if you're watching on YouTube, you can obviously see his cool backdrop, big Phoenix Suns guy. And listen, we do a lot of NFL and college football from September through now, and there's just so many NBA stories. We don't know how to wedge them in, but this feels like the perfect day. And I want to start, Ben, because I don't know, you like this Suns team. They got a lot of talent. And I'm currently looking at the standings. Here we are as we record this January 7th. The Suns are 12th in the West. Okay, 13 and a half back at 16 and 18. However, they are technically only 3.5 games away from fourth. So it's still a bit of a logjam, which from the Nuggets to the Suns, and you guys have KD and Devin Booker, and for now Bradley Beal. But overall, would you say just been a colossal letdown this season, or just a mild disappointment? Or hey, relax, Jay, it's early.
No, not relax, Jay. It is not early anymore. We're 33 games in, and the last time you and I talked, yeah, I was sold on the Phoenix Suns. We had done something kind of a back and forth, home and home on each other's pods, and I was very bullish on the Phoenix Suns. KD had just recently got hurt. They were going 9-1 in that stretch. But you said, where are you at? Are you high? Are you low? It's just been a roller coaster. And last night was a massive W for the Suns because they have hit this emergency in case break glass scenario with Bradley Beal going to the bench. And I'm very bullish on that aspect of the Suns. But man, I don't know if you've seen some of the things coming out of the Suns last night, but I did it on my show this morning on the Ben Garcia show where I stream every day. And it was Bradley Beal coming out saying he had no recollection or was not told that they were going to be benching him and moving him to the 6-man role. And then he has no recollection of any trade rumors, and that basically saying literally verbatim, well, I hold all the cards, so someone's got to tell me about it. So it's a roller coaster, man. What started as a very hot and heavy Suns season, 9-1 to start it off.
That's right.
Injuries have derailed it, but it's not just injuries, man. They can't get on the same page. It has been incredibly frustrating as a consumer, as someone covering this team, that they have all this talent and can't put it together. And we can't blame the coach this time.
Do you think that the Suns qualify as a super team? Not like super good, just super team with 3 huge stars and then filler around them.
It depends how you quantify super team. I think they're super talented, but super team, no. I mean, everyone was very high on getting Tyus Jones because this team didn't have a point guard last year. But if you were listening to me, and I'm sure no one was at that point, I was going on the radio basically saying, what are we doing? The Suns' issues are not the fact that they don't have a point guard. They have wing issues. Ryan Dunn has been a revolution for this team. The center position is bad. Don't try to tell me that a point guard's going to fix it all. And it hasn't. So it's been incredibly frustrating, to say the least, at least right now. But super team, a super talented, yes. Super team, no.
Yeah, because it's like so Oklahoma City, as we record this, is 30-5. They've won 15 straight. If you stack the 5 best players on each team next to each other, the Suns probably have 3 of the best 5. Okay, I know everybody loves SGA, and sure, the Thunder have talent, but like Phoenix has more top end talent. Being 12th in the West, they're behind Sacramento. They're behind Wemby's Spurs. They're behind the Mavericks, who have lost 5 in a row. Now Kyrie and Luka are out. I don't know that Luka's coming back anytime soon. The Paperclips, who got Kawhi back for one game, they're somehow ahead of the Suns. I think when you start looking around the West at the landscape, like, yeah, Minnesota's been a letdown, but you could argue Phoenix has been the biggest letdown in the West.
I would argue the Timberwolves
Timberwolves, I
probably
had them going to the finals.
would probably take that. Well, I did too. I thought they actually got better post Karl Anthony Towns trade. I was in the minority of that, but they have scrambled to pick up the pieces, but the Phoenix Suns are a strong second. I mean, there was anonymous sourcing coming out at the beginning of the year saying Phoenix is the team to beat in the West, but you are speaking my language. This is the thing I talk about with my co-host Brendan Clean on the Locked On Phoenix Suns podcast is he was telling me, he's like, do the Thunder scare you? And this was 2-3 weeks ago. And I was like, no, let's line up the talent. Kevin Durant, I don't care what anyone says. I'm just going to take Kevin Durant in a 7-game series over Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. SGA has surpassed Devin Booker, but then it's Book. I mean, I guess we could argue J-Dub's better than Bradley Beal, but that 3 against those 2, I would just take that. Now at this point, those 2 teams played. There's a long season to go, but if those 2 teams played, one team would do a major drubbing, and I'm not sure if the Suns would win a game.
Yeah, it's weird. I know the efficiency metrics people love. So Phoenix is 10th in offense, which is fine, right?
It's not good enough.
Good. It's good. I mean, with Kevin Durant, it's probably not good enough. But the problem is defensively, where they're 24th. And you look at the teams around them, Brooklyn, they're going nowhere. Toronto, perpetual rebuild. New Orleans, no Zion. They're awful. Washington is a cellar dweller, and then Utah might be the worst team in the league. So Phoenix's defense, or lack thereof, now this has been a problem for years. They just thought they could overcome it with offense. Do they need to try? Like, would Jimmy Butler help this team defensively?
Oh, Jimmy Butler would make a world of difference defensively because
he's 35. He's 35, though. Let's just remember.
I would still take Jimmy Butler over half the guys on this Suns roster defensively.
But what do you do with Ryan Dunn? Because, like,
you still start Ryan Dunn. The Suns don't have a good center on the roster. If I was the head coach,
KD at the 5?
Yeah, I would. I would run Kevin Durant at the 5. I would do a Miami Heat style. The Miami Heat don't have a center. They run Bam Adebayo there. He's 6'9", though. He's not a center.
But it's more of like a body. Don't you think it's a body type? Like, Kevin Durant is not going to want to go bang and guard Jokic, right?
They're still going to get dominated down low. That's not what the Suns need to lean into. One identity, and that identity is they're best going small. I have mentioned to my co-host before, the Suns have their own version of a death lineup. It's Ryan Dunn, it's Royce O'Neal, and then it's the 3 stars because you're bigger in the middle, but you're still kind of small as a team. Throwing Nurkic out there, throwing Plumlee out there, you're not. I've advocated this morning to start Oso Ighodaro, the 2nd-round rookie, because that's how bad it's gotten in the front court.
He's out of Marquette, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a good. I remember him. He's a good player.
He's a good player. Listen, this Suns team has had issues with trading and potentially free agency signings. I'm citing Eric Gordon last year. That didn't work out, but they've found some real gems in the draft over the past couple of years. James Jones has got an eye for that.
Yeah, it just feels like there's just too much talent. And I know that sounds crazy on a 16 and 18 team, but I mean, Ben, I would almost trade some of the talent for role players. Like, the way OKC is built, they've got role players. The New York Knicks, hey, we've got our horses, and then they're surrounded by role players. Like a Josh Hart would be perfect on Phoenix, right? He's going to do all the stuff that, frankly, Kevin Durant's not going to do. Devin Booker's not going to do. Deflections, hustle, diving, offensive boards, defending anybody. Like, you need those guys. I don't know that Phoenix has one true role player. Is Ryan Dunn there yet? He's so young. I don't know that you can even call him one.
Ryan Dunn's been awesome. Ryan Dunn defensively. I mean, that's the guy that I called out in June saying, please don't trade the pick, draft this guy. Tyus Jones, a role player. I would agree with you. The issue is how do you get those guys? The problem with the Suns is and I don't know how I didn't see it. It was clearly the fanboy in me. And every now and then I have one of those moments. But when they got Bradley Beal, I was like, what? Who's stopping this team? Good luck, everyone else. And then you look into it, it's too much redundancy. Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, Bradley Beal, all 3 guys defensively. KD is still there, but Devin Booker has taken a clear step back defensively this year. Bradley Beal has actually been one of their better defenders, which is never a good thing. But they're all mid-range jumper guys. And Devin Booker always misses 12 games because of a hamstring or something stupid. Bradley Beal misses 30. And KD, I mean, he's been mostly healthy for the Suns, but I mean, you are crossing your fingers that guy doesn't roll an ankle, because if you do, you're in the deep pits of NBA purgatory.
So let's get to this Jimmy Butler thing. So some of these cap guys have broken down how the Butler deal would work. It almost certainly will involve three teams. So the Suns would get Butler. The Heat would have to ship Bradley Beal and a bunch of picks to Miami. And then it almost sounds like the Heat are coming out and saying, we don't want that $110 million on our books for Beal. So a third team would have to be interested in Bradley Beal to get him off their plate, because Miami, listen, they got, I don't want to disparage Bradley Beal. Like, I think he's better than Tyler Hero, but they already have Tyler Hero. You know, like the Heat have Hero, and they're not like, we don't want to pay extra money for Beal. So it almost feels like they're saddled with Beal, and he has a no trade clause, by the way.
A no trade clause that, given how horribly the Sun season has went, and especially the turn for the worse, and especially last night hearing some of Bradley Beal's comments, I'm not worried about the no trade clause. He had mentioned in his presser early in the season when I was there that he would just want to get back to playing basketball the way he plays basketball, and he's really excited for this year. That has completely gone out the window, especially if you're going to Miami. If you're sending Brad Beal, and it's funny because you said a bunch of picks, but the Suns only have 3 second-round picks and 1 unprotected, likely 2031 pick that they would have to send in that trade. The Suns are trading producer Rob G's son to the Miami Heat next year. That's what they have to offer. So to change those things, it would have to be getting another team involved. But the problem with Butler, and what you're kind of seeing now, is he's forcing Miami's hand. Now there's this issue with Pat Riley. Will he be willing to come to his senses, or are you willing to take bad PR and leave it with this guy for the rest of the season? But like, ask yourself, there are, in this current NBA, outside of Damian Lillard, stars go where they want to go. Anthony Davis, Kevin Durant, Chris Paul, they force their way out, and Jimmy has made it incredibly hard over to just get anything done in Miami. So it's going to be complicated, but I think this is something that you're alluding to. I'm not worried about it not getting done at some point. I do think he'll be a Sun at some point.
Okay. So, I love a good hot take. And part of the reason I haven't mentioned this to you, but part of the reason I brought you on here was because I've got what I think is a potential hot take for the Suns. Now, you may have covered this, but if there's nobody interested in Bradley Beal, okay, and it doesn't appear to be the case, and Devin Booker's only 28, you're not moving off D-Book, okay? Why don't you see if a contender wants Kevin Durant? Like you said, he's hurt every year. He, I believe, is 35 years old. I'm a big Kevin Durant guy. I think he's immensely talented, Hall of Famer, top 20 player all time. They could sniff top 10, depending on how you break it down. But Durant's still got a bunch of good years left at playing 50, 60 games a season. And in the postseason, anybody could use him. Why don't you see who would take Kevin Durant? And then you just say, you know what? We're going to go role players. We're going to start to build it. We got D-Book for at least 3 or 4 more core years. We ride out the Beal thing. And we just deal with it, because we're not winning a title. We're not competing for a title. I don't think we're getting out of the first round. And Kevin Durant is the best player that anybody would want. I think you can't move off Booker. So I would advocate seeing if KD would go to a contender and seeing if you could get. Now, listen, I would not want to trade him to, say, Golden State for Kuminga and picks and pods and all these guys. But there has to be a contender that would want to get in the Kevin Durant business.
Yeah, I don't think you're wrong. However, I was holding on to this in the back of my head. You said you were a big Kevin Durant fan. I'm not so sure Kevin Durant is a big fan. No, I'm not so sure Kevin Durant is a big fan of Jason McIntyre.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
Given some of the things that we've seen. You're not wrong. This is something I advocated for. I pushed the panic button as soon as they got swept. I went on the air. I was filling in for my guy Jody Ayler that day, and I said, it is time to push the panic button on this. Eject Kevin Durant, get what you can get from him. I even lofted out the idea of see what you can get for Devin Booker, but don't do it if you don't have to. The issue is teams aren't willing to normally give up more than they would in the offseason. What's Kevin Durant worth right now? Is he worth your 4 first-round picks from the Houston Rockets that they have, or however many picks that they have that are actually the Suns picks that they traded for with the Nets? teams don't usually do these kind of deals and give up a boatload in the season. So I agree with you, especially with how poor it's gone. And let's say Butler doesn't happen. I don't think it's a terrible take to potentially move on from Kevin Durant. He might not like that, but at this point, you've invested so much. You might just need to hit the self-destruct button and get back what you can get back. But I'm going to be honest with you, man. I don't know how much of the market is going to be out there for Kevin Durant to make it worth your while right now.
Okay,
And
so
going into the, but in the offseason, when this probably doesn't work, if they get Butler, if they don't get Butler, yeah, you're likely blowing it up.
my only problem in the offseason is you're not getting as much ROI. Whereas now, and I'm bummed you mentioned this team. I thought I had like an ace up my sleeve. So there's a surprise team in the West, the Houston Rockets at 23 and 12. Look great. Who's their best player in a big spot in a playoff series? I don't know, a big fourth quarter of every game in the first round. Who do you go to when you need a bucket and the defenses are tight? Can you count on Sengun? Jalen Green can he play in the half court in the playoffs? We don't know. So I would go to Houston and say, hey man, give me some picks. And I like what I see from Reed Shepherd. I like Amen Thompson, Cam Whitmore. I think Houston starved. When was the last time they went to the finals? Was it with Olajuwon and like way back when in the mid 90s?
It would have to be back then
Harden
because they
didn't
they didn't go with they didn't go with Tracy McGrady and Yao Ming either.
Yeah,
or
so
Steve
if
Francis.
You're Houston, can you convince them? Hey man, you put KD on that team. And oh, by the way, I would target defensive guys from the Rockets. I don't know that Sengun is a good enough defender, and they probably wouldn't give him.
They wouldn't give up Sengun.
But I like the young guys. Give me young wings, Thompson, Whitmore. I really am bullish on Reed Shepherd. He hasn't done much yet this year.
He just got sent to the G League last night.
Yeah, which is a little disappointing, but that's buying an asset low. I like him. Are any other teams that jump out at you that you think would get involved with Kevin Durant? We know Daryl Morey loves a good star. I don't know that there's enough basketballs to go around with Paul George, Embiid, Maxey. I think the Warriors to appease Curry are always going to be floating out there, but Draymond's still there. That seems to me unlikely. Any other teams that you think could get in the Kevin Durant business? I'll toss out the Indiana Pacers potentially. They've got a lot of good players, not a lot of amazing players. Halliburton has taken a minor step back.
Yeah, so two teams stick out, but one of them doesn't make any sense because he just left there. And the Brooklyn Nets, who have a boatload of picks, but that's not happening.
No.
The issue is this. I can pull out a couple of teams, and there's one in particular that I think should call the Suns right now and give up the plethora of picks they have, and that probably tips my hand a little bit. But it's the same thing with Butler. Kevin Durant doesn't get traded. Kevin Durant trades himself. If you say, hey, go to Houston, and Kevin says, yeah, go ahead, reach out to Houston for me. Tell them I'm not signing an extension with you this offseason, so don't trade for me. Because that's what it is. As much as I love the fact that Butler could come here because he might just force his way to Phoenix and make Miami take their medicine, their pride medicine, it's the same thing that could happen with the Suns. But let's just throw all that aside. Because I do think there is some legacy saving, which if KD, who came after me, you, my co-host before, if there is a thing that I believe that can really save his legacy or at least uplift it, because I think KD is a top 10 player of all time.
Top 10?
Yeah, I think Kevin Durant's top 10 player of all time.
Who are you booting now?
I mean, any one of the old guys that thinks that they could guard Kevin Durant back in the day, like that, I don't think that that's even super hot. I think low end,
he was flirting with top 10, but what he's done post Warriors is ugh.
Well, himself statistically, I think has been perfectly fine. In fact, he's 36 right now and is still having one of his most efficient seasons. Now, team, like, no, was it if we're just judging if we're knocking players because of their cognitive ability to pick guys and go with them, then, we're taking out, why the heck would you leave Steph Curry for Kyrie Irving? Why the heck would you leave Green Bay for the New York Jets, Aaron Rodgers? Like, those are the type of guys. But getting back to it really quickly, the Oklahoma City Thunder make a lot of sense. I would, if I was the Thunder.
If the team that's won 15 straight is going to blow up their core. Okay, I got to hear
do you think, listen, I watched a Suns team that went 64-18, and Luka Doncic dismantled them. The playoffs are not about who's got a really good team. I'll be honest with you. If the Suns made the playoffs, there is a little bit of belief in me that they could still get through everyone just because of talent alone.
Everyone.
Listen. I'm saying a
Are
little
you
belief in
sure
me.
they're getting out of the play-in bet?
Listen, I'm saying 5%. Like if they made it in,
Okay.
I'm not, this is not like a
Yeah.
20-30%. I don't have that much faith. I'm a fanboy, but I like to call myself the self-proclaimed voice of reason for the Suns and
Yes.
Cardinals.
You're a
But
realistic Suns fan. Like I'm a
yeah,
realistic Jets fan.
unfortunately.
Yeah.
Well, it's
It's not
because
fun.
I've been raised watching all these teams for so long that I've been known just to expect heartbreak. But yeah, it's about what stars you have. And SGA last year, you can argue, listen, it's another year. He's gotten better, or he's reached his ceiling in the playoffs. And Luka Doncic comes a stomping and he beats him. Like, do you really need? I don't know. Would you trade J Dub or J Will, whichever the ones that they go by? Would you trade the better Jalen Williams and a couple, a first, maybe a second, because J Will's got a lot of potential in him for Kevin Durant for
He's
this
gonna call.
year?
I would ask for way more than that. But here's
I
the
don't think
only
you get it
problem
though. I don't think
for
you get it.
okay. I got to look at the cap situation because pretty soon they're going to have to pay a bunch of guys,
Yeah,
including J Dub, right?
yeah. I think they paid Jalen
Oh, is
last
the
offseason
other one they haven't paid?
potentially. I think they paid the good J Dub.
They're both pretty good, but
Yeah, but
Chet
but one of
Holmgren, you
them's
got to
got
pay.
like Devin Booker ceiling to him. He's
I mean,
got
they probably
a
what 1 to 10 are they the best in the league?
the Thunder?
Yeah.
No, Boston's
Well, wait.
better.
Well, oh well. I think Boston 1 through like 7 is clearly one, but 1 through 10. I mean,
Oh,
the
well,
OKC. Remember,
sure,
Chet Holmgren's
sure,
not even here.
sure. 1 through 10, maybe, but the playoffs aren't about. You're not playing the
Playoffs,
ninth
yeah,
guy.
more
You're playing 7
7, 8.
guys. Or
Yeah.
if you're the Suns, you're playing 6. So,
Yeah, and then
yeah,
KD's
no,
falling
no.
apart.
I still think Boston, begrudgingly so. I know Jason Tatum's your guy, but he drives me insane.
Oh, jeez. He's already
Get
didn't he secure the MVP this season already? I think he's locked that up.
No, SGA will win it. If we're just talking about it through this far, Nikola Jokic and SGA are both ahead of
Oh,
him.
so we're handing it to free throw merchants now, huh? Okay.
That's what Jason Tatum is. Jason Tatum's a free throw
No,
merchant at
he's
times.
an awesome 3-point shooter. I haven't seen him from Shea. I'm just not.
Oh man,
Listen,
well,
Shea's
you and
awesome.
I could argue. I would argue the Boston Celtics winning their championship last year was the first time in a decade or so that a team without a true superstar won the finals. Because I love Boston Celtics fans like to say, oh, he had the most rebounds, assists, and he had a couple of blocks. He was so inefficient that he was so bad, or efficiency-wise, shooting the ball he couldn't crack the lineup of the USA basketball team. He was shooting the ball so poorly.
International.
Jaylen Brown was there was so many people that were like, Jason Tatum deserves the MVP. Thank God Jaylen Brown won the finals MVP, or I was going to strangle someone.
I think I'd have to look back because this was 7 months ago, but I think Tatum led the Celtics in points, rebounds, and assists.
Well, yeah, when you're chucking up 30 shots a game, I would pray you make 2 of them.
Man, that's harsh. Tatum hates.
Listen, Tatum is clearly a 1. I'm willing to admit, especially now, he's better than Devin Booker. I was on that, especially this year. But no, I'm not going to sit here and act like he was the dominant force of that team during the playoffs. It was Jaylen Brown who was on another level.
All right, one more quick one before we wrap it up. I would consider Denver. They've been kicking the tires on a lot of players. It looks like they're trying to get off of Michael Porter Jr. I don't know if they have enough talent to ship to the Suns, but Murray, KD, and Jokic is pretty formidable. I would ask for Aaron Gordon, Porter, and picks. I mean, maybe not Aaron Gordon because he's older, but the salaries do have to match, so you're gonna have to pony up some dudes. Does Denver do anything? Are you excited about, or are those picks just going to be so bad that who cares?
No, because then you get stuck with another bad contract in Michael Porter Jr. And not only that, I don't think the Nuggets would do it not because they don't want KD. Of course, from a schematic standpoint, you want him, but from a team that ownership-wise just kicked Kentavious Caldwell-Pope out the building because they didn't want to pay the luxury tax, I don't think they're going to pay the luxury tax. And I think at that point, they might be in the second apron along with where the Suns and Celtics are now because Kevin Durant he's due for a 2-year, $100-something million extension in the offseason that he didn't sign this year that he'll he will absolutely get
Yeah, well,
because
yeah,
Matt Ishbia is just handing out money.
it would be chasing a ring this year. Actually, I'm looking at Hoops Hype has a salary breakdown. Porter's only on the books for this season and then two more. Aaron
Yeah.
Gordon is the one who got the new deal, and he's on until 2028. Oh, 2 years longer than Porter. But he's actually a good
MPJ's
defender.
MPJ's on a max. And he can really only do one thing. He's on the rookie max, but I believe he's on the rookie max with escalators, just like DeAndre Ayton was on. The issue is with Porter Jr. He doesn't defend. He's kind of already redundant to what the Suns have. He's really just a jump shooter, one of the prettiest jump shooters in the NBA. But I don't think, believe it or not, I don't think Denver would do it. Because Kevin Durant is not going somewhere where he doesn't know as well. He's getting his 2-year $110 million extension.
But
I think it is.
couldn't he chase a ring with Denver? Maybe they might win it. I don't know. I don't think Denver, as constituted now, is winning the title. But with KD, we'll see. And then somebody's going to pay him who's close in the offseason, no?
I don't know if Denver is going to be willing to chase a ring, have a super team, see how that has worked in Phoenix in the past. Like, yeah, for a Suns fan, MPJ, maybe not, because he just doesn't fit what the Suns do and he'd be horrendously hard to get off of. He's a Tucson guy. He went to U of A.
Oh,
maybe.
That's right. Yeah, Gordon went to Arizona. Cost me so much money in back-to-back NCAA tournaments. Oh my God.
You know, it's funny. I grew up a big U of A fan. And then I went to ASU. So I've kind of switched my fandom, but those Nick Johnson, Aaron Gordon years where they lost to Sam Decker and Kemba Walker in back-to-back years. You don't know what it was like you want to talk about fandom that has been tossed down the drain. I'm watching Sam freaking Decker hit 3-point shots from a different area code. And my 6th grade heart is shattering in front of my eyes. And then the week before that, they just beat Duke. So yeah, no, that was a whole nother thing. But yeah, Aaron Gordon was on some of those teams as well. That was Derek Williams as well the year after. But
oh gosh, that guy was a disappointment.
Man, I thought he was going to be awesome. But that whole draft was kind of terrible. That whole draft was terrible.
It's weird. Clearly listening and talking to you, Ben, it's a tough spot for Phoenix.
Ishbia,
There's no easy answer.
That's another thing too. And you have a lot more obviously a very big audience. And so I think this is very important. Everyone is kind of saying, push the panic button, eject, blow it up now. Because that's the easy thing to do when you're not also on the inside. And ESPN, I don't like to say this, but it is true. We're in the business space. We want to get eyes to what we're watching. We want people to see what we have to say. Blowing it up, sure. Like, let's just say, but you're not going to get as much right now as you likely would in the offseason because teams will have more assets available in the offseason, given picks that they'll then be able to trade. But also, I love Matt Ishbia. I have talked with the guy multiple times. Really good dude. That guy is hell-bent on winning a championship. He is seeing this thing through for the end of the year. I would put my life savings, which is about this desk and this camera worth, on the fact that Matt Ishbia is not blowing up this team. And I would put so much so on it that I don't think he will next year. I mean, he is hell-bent on keeping he wants to bring a championship to this team so badly, which is awesome because Robert Sarver was so bad at that. I think he's just hell-bent, man. They're going to see this thing through, which is why they are going to do everything they can to get Jimmy Butler and ultimately, I think, land him. Because they are all in on this, man. They are not going to. If you think James Jones is pushing the buttons, no, it's Matt Ishbia, which I'm not too against.
I mean,
it's crazy.
We want to see it through. I get that, but at some point, somebody has to be like, "Hey, man, I know you're a billionaire. This isn't working." And one of my favorite lines about rebuilding is the best time to rebuild is last year. If you wait too long, I think the ROI for KD goes way down. Can you get a bidding war at the deadline for Kevin Durant? I don't know. It's going to be fascinating to watch. So Ben Garcia, Locked On Suns podcast. Ben, great stuff as always. I'm sorry your guy Kyler Murray continues to let you down.
Oh, yeah, come on. Don't do that to me. We were having a good conversation.
I know,
the last time I talked to you, I said, listen, times are good here in Phoenix. We'll just beat Geno Smith once. And oh man, you might have been right about a lot of things, and I'm not happy about it. I'm not happy about it one bit.
Extremely disappointing from Kyler. But
I don't know if you're a baseball. I don't know. Yeah, I like JG. I mean, listen, I know you're not trying to get football takes out of me, but that OC, needs to go. I'm praying the Chicago Bears hire
Wait, is
him. And
Pet
it's
Zig the OC?
Yeah, Pet Singh. He's the OC, and I heard you and Colin talking about it this morning because now that I help edit some of your clips, I sometimes listen and I'm like, oh, let's see what maybe this will work out. And I heard you and Colin talking about it this morning, like the laundry list of players. I talked about it today on my show, the Ben Garcia Show on YouTube, and I was saying this actually sounds like a Bears hire because he's not going to cost anything. The Warren family is going to want control. He's not going to be able to ask for any control. It'll soothe all the people in Chicago that want an offensive guy so badly, but he also plays a defensive style of offensive football, which is run the ball, dink and dunk, don't turn it over, don't take shots downfield. So I think he is a real, I don't have obviously any sourcing on this. I don't cover the Cardinals for a particular place right now, but I wouldn't be incredibly surprised if they got him because he checks a lot of boxes, and the Chicago Bears are known for making bad decisions. I mean, they kept Eberflus last year instead of going after Harbaugh. Listen, man, I am crossing all my fingers because then you can't say it's Kyler that forced him out because you're trying to make it work with Kyler. But yeah, Petzing, man, it's such a Bears hire. It actually might happen because it's such a Bears hire.
0.0% chance. No way.
Five.
On Earth.
5%. Into 5.
That's so 5 times out of 100 they hire Petzing.
Yeah, you're saying 5 times out of 100 the Bears make a bad decision. I'd argue it's more like 80 out of 100.
80, yeah, the Bears. What? Yeah, they are interviewing like 20 guys.
It sounds so insane, and I can't believe they're giving him a job interview, especially when Rappaport put out a young, up-and-coming head coach, brilliant mind. I'm like, nothing Drew Petzing's offense was creative. No. And a lot of that goes on Kyler, unfortunately.
Yeah, so your boy Kyler Murray. Brock Purdy's better, but who cares? Anyways, all right, Ben Garcia.
Yeah, Brock Purdy's doing so well. What time is his playoff game this weekend? Yeah. Oh, also, Kyler beat him twice this year. So easy now.
Wait, the second one, I don't think he played.
Well, it was Josh Dobbs. It's close enough. Josh Dobbs, Brock Purdy.
What's the difference? Yes. He did win the first one in a fluke.
Are you telling me you didn't watch a reunion of Josh Dobbs coming to the desert on Sunday? Ridiculous.
I didn't watch one play. Have not seen a highlight from that game.
You're not doing your job right, Jason, if you're not watching Josh Dobbs pass the ball. I do not miss having Josh Dobbs on the Cardinals last year. Listen, Kyler is obviously an issue right now, but man, have you seen what the Raiders rolled out? I mean, I know Rob G can hear us. They just fired his coach and they got Aiden O'Connell and they're winning meaningless games. Like, it could be worse. But yeah,
the Jets.
Would you like to hear about my Sun Devils as well? That was
good.
An issue.
I'm good on Sun Devils chatter. Now that Scatabo is going to the NFL. I like
Dillingham. Corbin Burns the D-backs. So I love Dillingham. Dillingham is, man, I've related him to the Dan Campbell of college football, where when I first saw Dillingham, I was like, I'm not sure this is going to work because this guy seems like he's so hyped up on 15 coffee cups of caffeine a day, and he's not a play caller, but he just instills this belief in players like Dan Campbell has done, and his ability to get more out of players by like belief. This team was picked to finish last for a reason. They were not. I thought that was a little harsh at the beginning of the year, but Sam Levitt, Cam Scatterbu, and Jordan Tyson, and they didn't even have Jordan Tyson in that Texas game. But Dillingham is a master motivator, an insane recruiter, and he's going to be here for a long time. So there's your Sun Devil talk for one day, and that is the one bright spot. Gosh, I thought we were going to win for a second. Alma mater.
Yeah, congrats on all your success, and hopefully the Suns continue to drive traffic and work your way because, man, it's about to get fun for the NBA. Talk to you soon, bud.
Yes, sir.